And we're back with another episode of What's Hockey. As we always do, we start with Around That Hockey. Keaton, what's
All the
the
time.
news?
We did see on the 22nd last week, we did have a frozen frenzy where every
Hmm.
single team played on that day. It was organized horribly. Each game was paced out 15 minutes. How are you supposed to watch that? Like that doesn't make
it's
any sense.
it's wild too,
And
because
they
like
started at 5 p.m. Central Time. Like that doesn't make any sense either. Like you could have just started at 12,
16
maybe 1.
games in like a
Bro,
4 hour
that's so
span,
many.
and
That
like
doesn't make any sense.
it's set. And hockey isn't a sport like football, where like okay, there's the NFL red zone,
There's no
right?
like
Shows
possessions.
Yeah, like and it'll show like, all right, this game is in the red
It
zone right
happens at
now.
any
So
point.
it
Yeah.
exactly. There's no like can you prioritize one
It's
game
like
over the next? I mean, it's
yeah,
just it was
it's
set up
ridiculous.
very poorly. But continue. Sorry.
I mean, it is nice to see every single team playing though. It's great, to have
Well,
that kind of a day, but like they just need to schedule it better. Like there's
yeah.
no reason to be
I
that
mean, you can't
daft.
see
And
every team play. Like it's impossible to watch it
yeah,
all
and I
again.
heard something like as soon as football is supposed to be over, NHL is trying to do like, or was that the NBA? I can't remember, but like one of those um, commissioners are like trying to do like a game every single day, and it's just like if you're trying to pump the numbers, you might as well schedule it a lot better. And that's
Yeah.
probably just the NBA, if I'm gonna be honest. But
I think
I
the
mean,
NBA plays a little more frequently than the NHL does, but
they both have 82 games, no?
yeah, but I think it's spread out a little bit. Like I think you'll have more back to backs in the NBA than you will in the NHL.
I
But
mean,
that
sure,
being
but either
said, I
way,
think over the last like 5 years, they've tried to do away with a lot of back to backs in the NBA. So maybe never mind. I mean, it's probably exactly the same right now. Yeah, I don't know.
nice talk.
The
Just
this ain't the
backing your
was
way out of what you
basketball
just said.
podcast.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, I mean, pretty crazy. Each team has played about 7 to 9 games, so it's a pretty decent stretch into the first part of the season, and the San Jose Sharks are still winless. They happened to be winless last year through 9 games, if I'm not mistaken. So
Dog, all right, hold
they
on. I'm
are
sorry.
breaking records.
Real quick, we're talking about scheduling. What is the logic that there are three teams in the Metropolitan Division that have played 7 games, and then the New Jersey Devils have played 12 games,
Yeah,
nearly
it's pretty
double.
great.
Like,
I mean,
who
they did start with the what was the global series or whatever in the like very first part of the season. They had
is
already
that?
played two
Why?
games before anybody else did, basically. But I
So
mean, to your
stupid. I mean,
point,
there
12
are two.
games compared to seven is just doesn't make any sense. I mean, they could be
Yeah,
like 10 compared to 8, but yeah, it's quite a margin
very much so. Yeah, man, that makes no sense.
scheduling.
All right. Anyway,
Yeah, but the San Jose Sharks, they're breaking records being historically trash. So, pretty good, pretty good. They are
still
currently still
winless.
winless. Yeah. Through
God.
9 games, they have 2 OT losses, so they have a couple points. So they're not as bad as the Nashville Predators through 4 games, who were pointless. As far as just
It's funny
you know
too. So
trying to get better, I don't know.
through 9 games, the Sharks have 18 goals for. That's less than every single team who have played 7 games. Like two full less games, and they've all scored more goals than the Sharks. That is
I mean, last year they had a pretty decent offensive production, at least through stretches of the season. I mean, they were scoring like 6 goals. They just lost to 8. Like
mhm.
they were just giving up everything, but they still got to score. I don't know what's going on with them this year. I mean, they do
Yeah.
have. I don't know if he's still hurt, but Celebrini. I mean, he's such a stud.
Here,
I would assume he's still hurt because I mean,
let me
haven't been
look
hearing
up the
anything about the
Celebrini
dude.
update. I
But
think this is going to
yeah, I
become a
mean,
regular
it's
feature of the podcast where we just unintentionally bring up Celebrini and then we're like, "Oh yeah, is he good now?"
he's probably still hurt.
Returned
Injury tracker.
6 days ago. Give me something. I think he's back. He's
Oh yeah, we were
practicing.
talking about skating, right? He was skating
Yeah.
last time, so he's probably cool.
He's-
He's cool, bro.
well, hopefully he can do something. I mean, we saw it last year
They
though.
play a
Just having
ton.
a
Yeah, they
spectacular
do.
rookie wasn't good enough for the Blackhawks. So we'll
The
see.
Blackhawks.
Yes, we will see if Celebrini can lift up something. But Jesus, no, I think their spirits are going to stay down. That's rough, man. They've gone to
That's
OT
pretty.
twice. Once against
Yeah,
Winnipeg, right? Or was it
yeah.
Winnipeg? Yeah.
I don't know. Did they?
Oh
I
shit.
can't imagine that. It was the
Uh
Kraken that went to
oh,
OT that I was
Kraken.
talking about earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a
Way to
blue
go, dog.
team in the ocean. Same thing.
Sharks and Kraken are the same thing.
They look alike.
They don't.
They don't play alike. That's for sure.
Boy, octopus and sharks.
Sea creatures. That's all the same.
See,
On the
okay.
west coast, they're
Boy,
just all
you're
over
acting like
there.
Hannibal Buress with pretzels. Pretzels is the same.
Pretzels is the same.
Pretzels is the same, dog.
Thank you. Anyway,
Uh, pretty off topic here. And did you
very
even
much so.
find out those OT games at all? Because
Oh
that's what I
no,
was looking
was that
for.
what you were looking up? Well, why would
Oi!
it have taken you so
This
long to
guy.
look that up? That's like a 10-second
Because I'm trying to
search.
find it. Is it really?
Yeah,
Search
countdown
it
for
up
me.
then, bitch.
They went
Do
to
it.
OT against the
Nice, dude.
Sharks.
It's more
Or
than 10
wait,
seconds.
that the Stars and the Blues.
The Sharks went to OT
We
versus the
went to a shootout with
Sharks.
them. I forgot about
Made it
that.
here.
Dude, my
Yeah,
memory's
you
so
guys suck.
useless. We
Pretty
won.
trash. You guys have 2 losses on the year. You guys suck.
That's all right. Anything can happen.
Yeah, that's true. Just like how the Jets are surprisingly undefeated. That's pretty wild. I mean, through 8 games too. I mean, I
Yeah,
figured they'd have taken at least one, maybe an OT loss. I mean, they went to OT against the Kraken, like I said a little bit earlier. I mean, they kind of made them sweat a little bit, but still got it
it's
done.
yeah. I mean, like
And I
last
mean,
year, like they were a solid team to
they
go
were bad.
eight. Yeah, to go eight unbeaten though. I didn't see that coming. Now, to be fair, they haven't had the toughest schedule. I mean, they did beat the hell out of the Oilers to start the season 6-0.
Yeah, but the Oilers are being fluky. I mean, even the Red Wings almost beat them last night.
That's kind
So,
of fair. Um,
um,
but I mean, yeah, no, it's a very impressive start for the Jets. Completely the opposite for the Sharks. But I mean, that's not too big of a surprise. The Sharks were pretty atrocious last year. I remember them and the Ducks were just floundering to see like who could be the worst team. And the Ducks, I
yeah,
mean, they're not too much more
they're pretty foul.
improved. Nah, that
Pretty
was pretty
good.
solid. That was pretty solid.
But yeah, I mean, with the unbeaten in Winnipeg, I mean, we were talking about it earlier. That city desperately needed fans in its seats. So I mean, like, it should be a good thing for them. Maybe. I mean, it seems like nothing goes on there. I guess I don't know. But
The whole
yeah,
city of
pretty
Winnipeg
pretty
is either
trash.
very upset at you or saying like, "Yeah, hella accurate. There ain't anything to do over
Bro, they're
here."
they're trash. They ain't
Well,
what are
we
they gonna
can
do?
go from Winnipeg, a team that had no attendance last year, to a team that has no attendance this year, the Islanders. My goodness, it looks like the
Trash.
shots of them in game look like they're supposed to be taken 5 hours before the game starts, with like no one in the building. What is up
Yeah,
with? I mean,
it's
like
pretty
that.
rough.
It's a rough start for them too, but Jesus, dude,
I
that's
mean, to be fair, yeah, I mean they're paying like $2,000 for a studio apartment, and living in New York is pretty rough, dog, and having to watch some of the worst teams like the Giants, the Jets, the Islanders. Now, I don't know if the Knicks are bad, but they're starting out pretty all right.
hey, the Islanders did beat
Um,
the Devils. I mean, that's a little
Boy,
something.
the Devils are inconsistent.
You were raving
I
about
don't
them
know.
last week.
Raving, boy.
Raving. You're
I
like, they
was
got
like,
the
they're pretty
most
good.
points.
Because they do. Or it did.
Do they still?
I don't think so, because through 8 games, I
Yeah.
think
No, they
Winnipeg
don't.
has
Winnipeg
16
has more.
points. Boy,
Yeah.
trying to repeat me.
The Devils' goal difference is not that impressive either. It's +5 right now through 12 games.
Yeah, it's pretty good, dog.
It's like,
Yeah, and the
really, yeah.
Rangers right under them is plus 18. So
Mm,
yeah, Rangers pretty good. I mean, they did play the Red Wings a couple times. They had to bolster their differential there, but
Against
yeah.
who was it? Alex Lyon in that.
I think Cam Talbot took over once, or for one game at least. But
Nice.
yeah, I think Alex Lyon started it and got scored on like 5 times, and then he got yanked.
Trash.
But,
How
yeah, it was
did
pretty bad.
the Red Wings do this past week?
It went 2-2, just like I said, because pretty good, pretty good. We're right at 500. Pretty good. Out of 9 games, we're at 9 points.
At
So
500 through 9 games?
yeah, bitch.
Because of
Because we have an OT
OT?
loss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty crazy stuff. We're tied through I don't know, 6 other teams in the Metro Division. Um, pretty awkward start,
The
I would
entire
say.
division is tied at 500, aren't they?
Yeah, it's all 6 teams at the bottom are 500, and then you've got Lightning at like what is it 575 or something, and then the Panthers, which are like 600, 600 and 600. But either way, yeah.
That's
Uh,
genuinely
I
ridiculous.
mean, it looks like it's not a bad thing. You don't have any team that's like egregiously horrible like the Sharks or the Ducks or even the Flyers this year. My God. But yeah, it's a rough division. We'll see what happens come playoff time because that's going to be quite the tough matchup. But as far as the Red Wings are concerned, we played pretty all right. That first game through the Islanders was an exciting show for Alex Lyon to prove that he's at least deserving of some more starts than not. Just because he played pretty well. I believe it was a shutout. Pretty good. We did win the game with like 10 or 11 shots on goal, which I think is the lowest shots on goal until like 1950 something. So playing historically bad hockey,
Good God,
pretty
bro.
good. Still get the win, which is super nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't just put 10 pucks on net through
No.
3 periods. That's stupid, dog.
That was against the
Um,
Islanders? Or who was
yeah, the
that? Yeah.
Islanders. Yeah, they're
Good
pretty
God,
trash, man.
bro.
They allowed that loss. I mean, I think they
Yeah.
had like 30 shots on goal too. It was like it wasn't like
When
they
you were
didn't try.
watching, did you watch that one?
I don't know if I watched the full game. I've got some bad
Okay.
memory.
Nice, nice.
But
No, I was
I
just curious
mean,
if the Islanders were kind of just like throwing it at the net or if like they were quality
yeah,
attempts.
yeah. I don't know. I don't. I know I saw the next game a little bit better. But yeah, we did get the win. Devils gave us a lot more struggles. I believe we started out 2-2 in the first period, and it was just neck and neck up until the last period where
Hmm.
ended up finishing it. We got, I think it was an empty netter. Um, I think Kane took the last shot before the empty netter to make them, obviously kick the goalie out and start doing something.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rasmussen gets an assist from Edvinson and just blows up. What's his name? Jack Hughes. Guy
Yeah.
just gets posterized basically through an empty netter too. He just like shoves it, pushes him down. Uh, it's a pretty good play. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, we end up taking the win. I think the next game the Devils play, I saw Jack Hughes get blown up too. So I think he might be the punching bag of the league. Who knows?
It appears
But
so.
yeah, we're like that next game we did still win, but I think we're like still just barely like half shots on goal compared to the Devils. It wasn't good because I
Yeah.
think through the like last three games or the last three wins we had, we were getting outshot like 97-44 or something like that.
Jesus
That's pretty
Christ.
bad.
You think that's more
So
on like the line configuration or just like tactics or just the individual
I
players just
mean,
passing too
from
much?
seeing how, I mean, just the puck movement is pretty egregious sometimes. We turn the
Mhm.
puck over quite often. Um, Nobody really stands in the way of anybody taking shots. Nobody's putting in that defensive, like, hey, let me get a body on somebody,
Yeah.
like just getting in the way of anything. It doesn't seem like that's like a priority at all. It just
Yeah.
seems like they just want to take the puck and, go on uh, you know, whatever it is, fast break. There you go, and get an easy goal. But that's
In the
not
oddest way,
how
like,
you play hockey.
yeah, of course. I mean, like, so, like, it's funny too because that's all negative stuff that you need to work on. But if y'all are currently 500, you have a chance at a playoff spot, and you have that many things to correct, it's kind of a good thing too that you can pinpoint all these areas that need work. And if you're able to, let's say, fix two or three of them, I mean, y'all should lock
Yeah,
up your playoff spot come April. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty to work on for sure. I know last week I had mentioned as far as like kind of unselfishly, well, actually it was selfish at the time. The Stars were getting in their own way by not like blocking the goalie's view. They're trying to like set themselves up and kind of go individual style play rather than the team game. And so, I mean, if you're able to correct that, you can definitely like help your team, tenfold as far as getting pucks on net and then scoring and more efficiently too. Which, I mean, if you're shooting
yeah,
10 times and you score, that's solidly efficient as well. But yeah, I mean,
yeah,
there's definitely room to improve there.
yeah. And I it also could just be the vibe amongst the players because I know we've got a few new additions with especially like Cam Talbot and Tarasenko and all that. Just the overall meshing of how everybody plays. Because I mean, yeah, you have the off season, but you still just kind of need to start playing games to actually get a feel of how everyone else plays. And I also kind of saw a stat where like Mo Sider and Edmondson, like if they're not on the ice, like our defense is horrible. It's just
Mm,
not good at all.
yeah,
And it's either one or the other or both or something like that. And yeah, Gustafsson has been sort of a letdown. He did get the goal, but the empty netter, so I say. But yeah, I mean, by the time we hit the Buffalo Sabres game, I think that was on Saturday, I think it was 31st in penalty kill. So that's pretty good. And the Sabres had gone like 0 and they 0 and 22 on their power play or some shit, and
mm,
they ended up getting their first power play goal against us, which made sense. But yeah, we end up losing that game as well. Just kind of an annoying situation. Just can't really get back into the game. They end up, I believe, getting an empty netter, and we just couldn't get it finished.
yeah,
And the next game we play the Oilers, which is a little bit better. We end up taking it to overtime, or at least they take it to overtime because we were winning the whole time, and they just want to, tie the game. But yeah, OT starts 18 seconds in. Draisaitl gets his goal, and we lose. And yeah, pretty good.
mm,
So
mm, mm.
overall, like I said, 2-2, just like how I predicted. But yeah, just can't seem to get pucks on net. This ties in with the defensive effort and just trying to be a little bit more like, on the other team when they're shooting. Like it doesn't make any sense to not have any defense.
Yeah.
But yeah, um,
Before we record
hopefully we can get
again,
that
y'all played twice. Y'all got
shored
the
up.
Jets and the Sabres. You got
Oh, we're beating the
any feeling
Jets.
how that's
Jets
gonna
are
go?
trash.
You're gonna beat the Jets.
Yeah, we're going 2-0, dog. Fuck the Sabres and the Jets. There's
Okay.
nothing that's gonna happen.
I hate to
Because
be a hoe, but
we'll
I
get
don't.
to it, but tonight, the Jets might not be undefeated anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Oh, so how are the Stars doing? They played 2 games, didn't they? You were like bitching about how uh, less frequent they've been playing.
uh, less frequent going into next week. We played 3 games. We had the Sabres, the Bruins, and the Blackhawks. 2 on the road, and
Nice.
then a return back to Dallas against Chicago. The Sabres game. That was an annoying one, man. Lukanen, I believe that's their goalie's name. He stood on his head. Like, we had quality attempts, and this man saved
Yeah,
every shot. Like, my God. Our 2 goals came late in the game, and we almost forced it into OT. It was 3-2. Then they get an empty netter to make it 4-2 and in the game. But we had so many attempts, and it wasn't until we went empty net at the end of the game we got a 6-on-5 advantage and got 2 goals in, which was nice. But I mean, our power play, our struggles from last week continued into the beginning of this week. It did shift, and I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, it was just against Buffalo. There was no reason for us to lose that game. We had multiple great attempts, and I mean, the Sabres, all their goals actually, save for the first one. The first one, there's a deflection, it bounces off the post, comes down, and then someone like baseball style just swings and hits it in. That was their first goal. But
nice.
their other 2, their passing was stupendous. Tage Thompson, uh, I think he assisted one and scored the other, if I'm correct. But his passing was just ridiculous. I think defensively, we could have got in the lanes a little better. But I mean, like I said, Buffalo, they were just on their game and we couldn't get by Lukanen. But the next game, we go ahead and play the Bruins. And I'd mentioned last week the Stars were dead last in power play conversion. And we
Pretty
scored
good.
3 power play goals against the Bruins, against our former coach, Jim Montgomery. So that was nice to see. I think before the game, they showed a stat that said like Montgomery's like 7-0-1 against us since playing the Stars since he's been fired. So it
Nice.
was nice to add a loss to that. But no, the power play was just very, very good. I know Robertson got a goal in the slot. Duchesne assisted Stankoven. Um, Duchesne's first goal, I don't believe, was a power play goal, and his last one was an empty netter. But Duchesne just continuing what he's been doing this season, where he's just a monster at getting points, whether that be goals or assists. So, and he tailed off a little bit at the end of the season. So, if he keeps this kind of play up throughout the season, I'm sure there will be a slump here or there, but especially going into the playoffs, that's deadly, man. Like he is just sniping from the tightest of angles. He had a goal against Chicago that was like again thinnest margins, and he squeezed it in. So I mean, he's playing very, very well against Chicago. Ends 4-2. I know he had an empty net there. We were kind of dominating, honestly.
You
We
don't be
finished with 4 goals.
dominating.
We could have had like 5 or 6 though. Chicago towards the end of the game, they do get 2 back. One of them, it's like on was it Casey DeSmith in net, or was it Ottinger? I forget, but it's like on his pad, and I think a defender's like trying to hold it tight to his pad, so it's an icing and 3 Chicago Blackhawks come rushing in and like smash it in, and they like force it in. There was like no skill involved in it. It was just mashing into the player as hard as you can, and they poke it in. They
You just
do
gotta
get 1
mash.
back. Yeah, but it did feel
Just
towards
like
the end
Gale
of
in the
that
sand.
game that we got a little lazy, a little sloppy, kind of lost concentration, and we're thinking like, oh, we got this game locked up, and Chicago fights back to the end, and it isn't until Rope puts in the empty netter to go ahead and seal it. But or was it Duchesne? I think it was Rope.
You would forget.
I don't have a great memory. But anyway, we go 2-1 with that Sabres loss on the road. Again, I felt like a lot of that game we were the better team, but Luukkonen was the better goalie that day. And so, I mean, they get that dub. Fair enough for them. Going
Yeah.
forward, the Stars are playing in the global, what is it, the global series? Or do you know what they're calling it?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're
I think it's
playing
just
we're playing
mhm,
Florida and
just
Finland.
playing games.
Yeah, back to back games, November 1st and November 2nd.
Finland,
In what?
Florida, Finland.
Oh yeah, Finland. And
Pretty bad.
I'll say we split those games. I imagine we win the first one and we lose
Going
the
0
second
2.
one. I mean, Florida. They started a little slow. We had talked about it, but they've turned it around and they're on top of their division.
I mean, I think they're just taking bad losses here and there, and they probably don't really consider that to be much of a threat, especially early on. So I think they're just taking it on the chin, just doing what they're doing, you know.
Sure, and
And
I
I feel
mean
like that
that's
coach is just kind of one of the what's his name? Oh, I have his face right in my face or mind rather. But yeah, dude. Uh, that guy. He's
yes.
Maurice or something like that, isn't it?
Uh,
Boy, how do you not know?
it's above my pay grade.
You're an expert, bro.
Yeah, I'm surprised you don't know. You know, like every.
How do you not know? I see it. Paul Maurice. See, there you go. Forgot
Okay.
his first name. But yeah, dude, that guy, he's got a tough philosophy, you know? Pretty good.
Does he?
You suck, dog. You're like the worst. Dude, speaking of Jim Montgomery, that guy looks like Sheldon Keefe, but without hair.
Who's that? Sheldon Keith?
Sheldon Keefe? Yeah, he used to be a coach for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but he is currently a head coach for the Devils.
Sheldon Keefe.
Yeah, dog. He's
Dude, you're
Canadian.
not wrong. He also kind of looks
Yeah.
like is it Michael Chiklis, the bald dude who played the Thing? I think it's Michael Chiklis.
Yeah, kind of. He's not as Canadian, but yeah.
Yeah, he's like the American version of Jim Montgomery.
Yeah, no. Pretty good.
Yeah. So that's the predictions. But we got a new addition, a new segment where we're gonna go ahead and bet on the spread of
Go
the
ahead.
Monday games, of tonight's games.
Pretty
Keaton,
good. We got eight games coming up. Yeah.
yeah, we're
Looking
gonna
like
go
a
ahead and
hot
start
slate,
with. It's
dog.
gonna start with the Florida Panthers traveling to Buffalo to take on the Sabres. It is currently Sabres plus 1.5 goals. Keaton, who do you
They're
think's
not
gonna
gonna
win
win.
that one?
I'm taking the Panthers with this one because I don't know.
Minus
Bobrovsky
one and a
is pretty
half.
good. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
they're looking
I'll
pretty solid.
agree on that one. I don't want to agree too much with you, but yeah, you're right on that one.
Boy, this
Edmonton,
guy just hates me.
I a little bit. Edmonton is traveling to Columbus, taking on the Blue Jackets. It's Blue Jackets plus
Boy.
1.5. Keaton, who you got on that one?
I was thinking about it a lot because the Oilers, they're playing 3 games in 4 days.
Mm,
Um, I was thinking about it, but I'm gonna say that they take their momentum from the Red Wings win in overtime home. Not home, but on to the next game.
ah,
But yeah,
all right. Well, I'll disagree with you here. I think Columbus is going to get it done and stay within 2 goals.
boy, the
Uh,
Blue Jackets, they made so much
I mean, they
off-season
can
moves.
lose
We'll see
by
what
one.
happens.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying,
You're saying I'm
we'll see
wrong.
what happens with their
All right.
off-season upgrades. Didn't they get like a new GM, a new coach, a new like 18 different players or whatever? So, I mean, I don't know. They're not even who they were last year, or at least they shouldn't
Exactly.
be.
Well, moving on. A team that's also made plenty of offseason acquisitions, the Predators, are traveling to
Uh,
Tampa. where it's currently
Bit of a
Predators
revenge
plus the
game.
1.5. Yes, Stamkos taking on his former team there. Who you
I'm gonna
got?
say the Predators take that win and Stamkos gets a goal or two because I think he's just gonna play with a bit of a chip on his shoulder, just get it done.
I mean, I can see Stamkos getting a goal, but I'm gonna go ahead and say the Lightning cover that 1.5 spread, win by two. It's gonna suck when these games are ultimately decided by an empty netter, and either one of us could have had it, and it just flips to the opposite side because it's stupid. But yeah, I'll
Yeah,
take the
dog.
Lightning there. Moving on, the Maple Leafs are taking on Winnipeg in a battle for Canada, where it is Maple Leafs
A
plus
battle
one
for
and a half.
Canada? It's not that dramatic.
It's Maple Leafs plus 1.5. Who you got in that one?
I'm taking the Maple Leafs. I'm going to see Braden Point and Austin Matthews play a pretty good game and make a defining effort to win that game.
A defining effort.
Yeah,
That's pretty
dog.
wild.
Braden Point gets a lot of points, dog.
He's not even on. He's with Tampa.
What?
Is he on Toronto now? No, he's on Tampa.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
Nice, dude.
Austin
You don't even know what you're
Matthews
talking
is
about.
still going to play pretty well. I don't
Okay.
know.
Jesus Christ.
Hockey. What's
Um,
hockey?
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I'll say that Winnipeg will win that one by two. Be
Boy,
a little
9 and
tough.
0.
I just noticed every spread is plus 1.5. It's kind of weak of the odds
Boy.
makers, but I get it.
Okay.
Anyways,
Just pick a game.
Chicago taking on the Avalanche in Colorado. The spread is Chicago plus 1.5. Who do you have in that one?
I picked the Avs. The Blackhawks continue to struggle as they're one of the worst teams in the league still. So
Yeah, I'll take Avs on that one. Moving on. The San Jose Sharks taking on the Utah Hockey Club. Still one of the worst names in the game. Sharks plus 1.5.
you don't think it is the worst in the league?
It's definitely the worst, yeah. Sharks plus 1.5. Who do you got in that one?
I'm gonna take the hockey club because ain't no way the Sharks are getting a win.
And it is a sweep for the hockey club between you and I. Moving on, the Hurricanes and the
So,
Canucks battle it out in Vancouver. The spread is Vancouver plus 1.5. Who are you feeling in that one?
hold on, gotta make sure what I said. You said which game? Sorry.
Carolina versus Vancouver.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that the Hurricanes channel Milton and Helene and bring a natural disaster to
Oh
Vancouver
my
and bring
god.
home the gold, so to speak.
Disgusting. Just distasteful over there.
It's pretty bad.
I'm sickened
How
by
about
you.
Hurricane Katrina? That shit's been like, I don't know, 20 years old now.
What did that have to do with any? No one's brought them up. All right.
It's a
Uh,
hurricane, a natural disaster. You're just trash.
Give
Don't
me
know how
the
to put two and two together.
Canucks. The Canucks to get it.
They've
Uh,
got some levies. I don't know.
and lastly, Calgary Flames are traveling to Vegas, taking on the Golden Knights, where it is Flames plus 1.5. Who do you have in that one?
I'm thinking that the Knights will get this victory, even though I hope they lose. I don't see the Flames continuing their hot streak to start out, and the Vegas Knights are just one of the better teams. So they just take home the win.
Yeah, I'll say Golden Knights in that one as well. Um, so it looks like we picked differently on like half of those games. So if
Did
not,
we?
yeah, it should be pretty interesting. But yeah, that's the betting segment. So when we come back next week, we'll have some results for you, and y'all will see that clearly I know what I'm talking about, and Keaton's just throwing out
I didn't know
guesses.
anything, no.
Yeah.
I'm not throwing out guesses, dog. I know that the Predator's gonna win.
Okay. Well, anyway, Keaton, you got anything else you want to add?
No, it's just, we'll see what happens over the week, and yeah, hopefully the Red Wings go 2-0 like they should always.
They definitely won't. But yeah, all right. Well, that's gonna do it for us. Y'all take it easy. Peace out.